When his fiancée is captured by an enemy tribe, a prehistoric warrior decides to make a long journey to rescue her and will have to face enemy armies and wild animals to save his beloved. Today we're going to recap the story of the movie, 10,000 BC, from 2008. During the hunting season, the men of the Yakgal tribe find a blue-eyed girl in the mountains and decide to take her to meet the great sage, known as the Old Mother. Touching Evelyn's face, the woman sees a glimpse of the future and says that the young woman has come to announce the end of the Yakgal tribe, which will soon suffer a terrible attack. However, the Old Mother asks her family not to be afraid, because a warrior will emerge to save her people and Evelyn will be his wife. That day, the great sage was unable to see the face of the warrior of the prophecy, but she knew that her mission would be to protect the girl until she became a woman. Only one member of the Yakgal tribe didn't believe the Old Mother's promise, the father of the young Dele, who is the chief of that people. Winter has arrived and their tribe has run out of food, as no mammoths were slaughtered that year. Since they don't have any seeds to grow, the villagers have no resources to survive. So Moha decides to leave with the mission of finding food for his family and leaves his son in the care of Tik Tik. However, he never returned. From that day on, Dele became known as the son of a coward and was eventually excluded from the gang. Like Evelyn, the young man has become a loner, and this condition has brought the two young people closer together, who now have each other's company. Years later, they are both adults and the hunting season is almost upon them. The warrior who manages to pierce the heart of a mammoth will be recognized as the new chief of his tribe and will be able to marry Evelyn. Everyone believes that Karan will win this contest, as he is an excellent hunter, but Dele doesn't intend to let that happen. When the herd approaches the village, the group of youngsters gather to start the hunt, which will be led by Tik Tik. As he chases away the leader of the gang, the young hunters scatter to capture at least one of the animals before they all escape. During the escape, the herd has to cross a gorge, and Baku, in the company of other hunters from his tribe, lifts the net to capture the last mammoth. While the animal tries to free itself, Karan throws his spear to try to eliminate it, but is unsuccessful. The mammoth then manages to escape and is pursued by the young hunters. They are all working together to make Karan the new chief of the tribe, as they believe he is the only warrior strong enough to lead them. On the other hand, Dele has to work alone to prove his worth and receive Evelyn's hand in marriage. As his fist is caught in the net around the mammoth's body, he can't free himself and ends up being dragged away by the animal. When he reaches the edge of a cliff, the mammoth has nowhere to run, so Dele hooks a spear between two rocks and tries to lure the mammoth towards him. Then, as the animal rushes to attack him, it ends up piercing his chest and falls to the ground on top of the hunter's spear. Immediately, Tik Tik rushes to check if Dele is alive and discovers that, by luck, the young man has managed to capture his prey. At that moment, all the hunters are surprised, because for the first time in history, a man is able to eliminate a mammoth single-handedly. After the hunt, Dele becomes the new bearer of the white spear and receives the privilege of marrying Evelyn. From that day on, the young man was no longer seen as the son of a coward. Instead, the Yakgal have come to honor his name for providing them with an abundance of food. Although she is pleased to see Evelyn so happy with her engagement, Old Mother fears that Dele is not brave enough to face what lies ahead. That night, while everyone is celebrating, Dele goes to talk to Tik Tik and realizes that he is disappointed. The man knows that his hand got caught in the net that was tied to the mammoth, and, for this reason alone, Dele was able to get close to the animal before all the other hunters. Then the young man didn't eliminate his prey like a true hunter, because he was lucky that the mammoth fell on his spear. Embarrassed at having to confront the truth, Dele decides to return the white spear, as he doesn't feel worthy of it, and then goes to break the news to Evelyn. When she discovers that the man who promised to love her has given her up so easily, Evelyn is heartbroken and walks away. That night, during a heavy snowfall, the enemies of the prophecy arrive in the village and begin their attack. Hearing the movement, Dele, who was resting a few meters away from the camp, rushes to help his people and sees several of his friends captured. Under orders from his mother, Baku hides and sees the woman he loves most being eliminated right in front of him. Luckily, One Eye can't find him. Just as he is about to enter the battle, Dele is stopped by Tik Tik, who says it is impossible to help his tribe at the moment. When he sees Evelyn being taken prisoner by the warlord's tribe, he despairs, but knows he can do nothing to save her. After the attack, the few remaining survivors bury their loved ones who have been eliminated, and Dele announces that he will go after them. When they see the determination in the young man's eyes, Tik Tik and Karan decide to go with him and are blessed by the ancestral spirits of the Yakgal. What the three warriors don't realize is that they are being followed by the young Baku, who even after being forbidden to take part in this mission, has decided to go with them. During the night, The trio decides to set up camp in the mountains to regain their strength before continuing their ascent. The next morning, while walking through the snow, the warriors come across Baku and Tik-Tik orders the young man to return home. However, the young man insists on accompanying them because he wants revenge for his mother's perishment. So Tik-Tik allows Baku to accompany them, and the young man proves to be much more agile than all the other hunters, despite being much younger. With the blizzard, all traces of the Yakgal tribe have been covered by snow, and the warriors must go after their friends without any footprints to guide them. After a few days of walking, Evelyn arrives at the place where she lived with her family when she was a child and remembers that it was those same men who eliminated her parents. In the hope that Dele will rescue her, the young woman leaves some bones from her necklace along the way to serve as a clue for him. However, when One Eye discovers her strategy, she ends up being punished with lashes on the hands. The next day, Dele finds his beloved's accessory covered in blood and begins to wonder if Evelyn is still alive. Even with this doubt in his mind, he decides to continue the mission and leads his group into a forest. Meanwhile, the other members of the Yakgal tribe are also crossing the jungle and become desperate when some of the warlord's henchmen are attacked by a mysterious creature. Because of this distraction, the enemies end up delaying their journey, so Dele and the others manage to catch up with them. The young man wants to attack his enemies immediately, but Tik-Tik knows that his opponents are outnumbered, so he says that the best chance they have of succeeding in that rescue is to wait until dawn. While his friends sleep, Dele keeps an eye on Evelyn, and when he sees One Eye approaching his beloved, he attacks him. Just then, the rest of the tribe wakes up and starts looking for the girl. Karin and Tik-Tik are already ready for battle while the couple free the other prisoners. During the chase, Warlord and his companions are attacked by the monster hiding in the jungle and end up being left behind. So Tik-Tik and the others take the opportunity to flee, but they are also pursued and, after leaving Evelyn in a safe hiding place, Dele sets off to confront the creatures. While being chased by the wild ostrich, Dele ends up trapped in a bamboo grove and uses one of those pointed trunks to pierce the animal's mouth. When he returns to the hideout, he realizes that Evelyn is no longer there and soon comes to the conclusion that she and Baku have been captured. Now that Tik-Tik is seriously injured and Karin has been taken prisoner, Dele is completely alone and will have to rescue his friends without any help. During the journey, Dele refuses to leave his friend behind and builds a wooden stretcher to carry him. That night, while out hunting for food, the young man falls into a trap and passes out. When he wakes up hours later, he realizes that the place is completely flooded, as a strong storm has hit the land. Looking around, Dele sees a saber-toothed tiger drowning, and his first move is to try and escape. However, when he realizes that he won't be able to climb those rocks, he decides to eliminate the animal so as not to risk being devoured by it. However, his good heart won't allow him to do this, and, even though he knows he could end up dying, Dele decides to free the beast. When the tiger leaves, he uses a wooden stake to climb to the surface and returns to where his friend is. Once there, Dele realizes that Tik-Tik has regained his strength and is now able to walk on his own. Hours later, when they both arrive at an abandoned village, they decide to stop for food. As the place has just been sacked by Warlord and his tribe, there is still fresh food there. While feeding, the pair end up being surrounded by the survivors, but before they can be attacked, the tiger appears. When it approaches, the animal identifies Dele's scent and can remember him, so it doesn't attack him. Instead, it threatens the Naku and then leaves. Thanks to the tiger, Dele and Tik-Tik are welcomed by the tribe and are no longer considered enemies. During a conversation with the leader of the group, the young man discovers that his father passed through there a few years ago and asks what happened to him. In response, Nikudu reveals that he had become a good friend of Moha's, but soon after, evil spirits appeared and captured the man. Along with Moha, several members of the Naku tribe were captured and taken to the Mountain of the Gods, from where no one has ever returned. At this point, Nikudu tells him about the legend that has permeated his people for generations and says that Dele has the mission of guiding them to the Mountain of the Gods. According to the prophecy, the only man who will be able to free the Naku tribe is the one who can communicate with the saber-toothed tiger. That night, Nabuku sends messengers to warn all the neighboring tribes about the arrival of the savior described in the prophecy, and they all gather to fight alongside Dele in the great war that is coming. Quickly, word of the Naku spread and dozens of warriors came from various corners to join them in the battle against the entity known as the Almighty. The army then moved faster and faster, without taking any breaks to eat or rest. As they pass through the villages, new members join them every day until the group becomes a major power. Seeing the huge number of enemies approaching, Warlord orders his tribe to run quickly towards the river, and they manage to get the prisoners to the boats in time. When she sees Dele approaching, Evelyn is overjoyed, but her beloved is unable to reach her. Even though they have not yet been rescued, when they see Dele accompanied by a huge number of warriors, Karin and Baku feel relieved, as they are more confident that their friend will not give up until he finds them. For several days, Dele and his army walked through the desert, using the stars as guides to lead them to the mountain of the gods. When they finally reach their final destination, the warriors come across countless human and animal bones and find a huge building. The place was built by the hard work of thousands of prisoners, including people and mammoths. Evelyn, Baku and all the members of the Yakgal tribe who were captured are being forced to work in this place and are treated like dirt. During the night, Dele and Nikudu break into the tent where the prisoners are spending the night and find their loved ones. Meanwhile, Tik Tik is waiting for the signal to invade the place with his army. Dele's plan consists of freeing the prisoners and arming them so that they can join his army during the battle. The problem is that most of those people believe that the man who controls the mountain is a god and cannot be defeated. According to the wise man who worked for the three gods, 2 of them have been eliminated and only one is still alive. However, the only one capable of defeating him is the one who bears the mark of the hunter. After gathering all the necessary information, Dele and Nikudu head down the mountain to meet up with their allies, but they end up being followed. Alone, Tik Tik manages to defeat his enemies, but he is struck in the back and realizes that his time has come. Before he perishes, he hands the white spear to Dele and his last request is that the young man completes the mission for which his father sacrificed himself. That night, Evelyn is taken to the warlord's room because the man plans to make her his wife. However, when the man approaches, the young woman sneaks his knife and, just as she is about to attack him, his superiors appear. For taking a female prisoner into his room without permission, Warlord ends up being arrested and his superiors try to convince the girl to return the knife. At that moment, they see a scar on her hand and realize that Evelyn is the one with the warrior's mark. Immediately, the young woman is taken to meet the king and he verifies that she does indeed bear the warrior's mark. After the perishment of the man who raised him, Dele is extremely shaken, but musters the strength to fulfill Tik Tik's last request. After burying his friend's body, the young man gets up and, with his inspiring speech, encourages the whole army to fight the Almighty at dawn. Some members of the group then infiltrate the prisoners and bury their spears in the sand to hide them. The first stage of the plan consists of finding the leader of the mammoths and releasing him to cause mayhem. When Dele gives the signal, Baku and his friends untie the tethers that were holding the animal while the other soldiers distract the guards. Just then, Dele and his allies spring into action and attack the guards. Soon, new enemies approach and Karin sacrifices himself so that Dele has more time. In an attempt to start a rebellion among the mammoths, the young man pierces their leader with his spear and all the animals start running in the opposite direction. During the escape, the mammoths end up helping the infiltrated rebels to get rid of numerous guards, who end up being trampled or pushed off the cliff. Realizing that the battle is about to be won, the prisoners who had previously refused to get involved in the war because they didn't believe they could defeat the mountain god, decide to attack and join Dele's army. When he is informed of the invasion, the Almighty orders his servants to use Evelyn as bait to force the invaders to stop the attack. Meanwhile, outside the castle, thousands of prisoners decide to join the warriors to claim their freedom. They are running towards the palace when Dele sees Evelyn being chained up and stops the attack. Suddenly, some servants who work in the castle start blowing trumpets and the prisoners bow down, knowing that the god who lives there will appear before them. At this point, the king, who is the spokesman for the entity, tries to negotiate with Dele and says that he will release the woman if the young man leaves with his men. Otherwise, Evelyn will be eliminated. Immediately, Dele accepts the offer, but says he will take all the Yakgal with him. When he learns that the Almighty has accepted the deal, the young man asks what will happen to the others and learns that they will be imprisoned forever. Determined to free all those people, Dele throws a spear that pierces the entity's chest and proves his theory. Seeing the Almighty eliminated on the ground, everyone discovers that he was never a god and, together, warriors and prisoners attack the guards. During the battle, the warlord takes advantage of the distraction to capture Evelyn and take her away. When he realizes that his beloved has been captured again, Dele leaves the battlefield and goes after her. While being taken against her will, the woman takes one of the warlord's arrows and pierces his abdomen. Then they both fall off their horses and Evelyn finally has the chance to run into Dele's arms. However, she ends up being shot in the back with an arrow. Knowing that he won't be able to have the woman of his dreams, Warlord is willing to do whatever it takes to prevent her from marrying another man. Immediately, Dele holds Evelyn and gently places her on the ground. He then goes to account to the man who tried to eliminate her and gets his revenge. Meanwhile, the other warriors and prisoners manage to take over the palace and destroy it. Everyone is in a celebratory mood when Baku approaches and realizes that Evelet has been seriously injured. The young woman thanks her lover for coming to her rescue, but ends up dying in his arms. When he sees the woman he loves lifeless, Dele can't hold back his tears and walks away, because at the moment there is nothing that can comfort his heart. Despite having ventured so far and walked to the end of the world to defeat the one they called the Almighty, the warrior will have to return home without a wife. This was not what the old mother had predicted, but as soon as Dele lost Evelet forever, the legend of the blue-eyed child was born. Throughout the young man's journey, Old Mother and her spirits have been with him to guide him. Now, the great sage is ready to sacrifice herself so that the prophecy can be faithfully fulfilled. Back in the village, the old woman is able to sense Evelet's perishment and decides to give her life to the spirits in exchange for hers. When Old Mother takes her last breath, Evelet comes back to life and is given the chance to return home with her beloved. After receiving some seeds as a thank you gift for helping to save the members of the Naku tribe, Dele says goodbye to Nakudu and begins a long journey home. Upon arriving at the tribe, all the survivors are greeted with great joy and Evelet and Dele are chosen to lead the Yakgal tribe from then on. When winter comes to an end, the seeds provided by Nakudu begin to sprout. Under Dele's leadership, the Yakgal will never go hungry again and will be able to live off the fruits of the land. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.